Have you ever heard a story that's so chilling it feels like it could just crawl right out of the screen and get you? Well, today we're diving into one of those stories. It's about a brilliant surgeon who thought he could conquer death, but instead, he ended up creating his very own living hell, an eternity of silent, inescapable torment.
So get this. These are some of the first words we hear from our main character, a surgeon named Samir. He says this to a terrified hospital watchman, his eyes all bloodshot, looking like he's seen a ghost. Right off the bat, that one line tells you everything. You just know something is deeply, deeply wrong here. And the line between life and death, it's been completely erased.
All right, so let's meet this guy, Samir, a surgeon with a serious God complex and, as you might have guessed, a very, very dark secret. This is where our whole story really kicks off, with his obsession.
You see, Samir is living this crazy double life. During the day, he's this celebrated doctor, saving people, a real hero in the operating room. But when the sun goes down, he sneaks off to this hidden lab of his. And that's where things get morbid. He's experimenting on corpses, totally convinced he's on the edge of some massive, world-changing discovery.
His whole obsession leads him to steal a body from the hospital morgue. He gets it back to his lab, puts it in this glass chamber, and just floods it with chemicals. And for one breathtaking second, he thinks he did it. The corpse's eyes actually open. But just as fast, it goes totally limp, a complete failure. So he freaks out, throws the body out of his lab in a rage, only for it to rise up outside his window with this weird, knowing smile on its face.
So after that massive failure, you'd think he'd stop, right? Nope. Samir just pivots to something even crazier. He stops messing with corpses and turns his attention to his own reflection. He's somehow convinced he can pull a perfect clone of himself right out of the other side of the glass. He calls it the mirror experiment.
So, here's the wild theory behind all his madness. Samir believes that our reflections aren't just light bouncing back at us. No, he thinks they are actual, living beings in a whole other parallel world. And if he can just break through that barrier, he thinks he can create a perfect copy of himself and basically achieve immortality.
And this, right here. This is the question that gets to the absolute horrifying heart of this story. I mean, just think about it. Imagine you look in the mirror and you don't see yourself. You see something else looking back. Something that absolutely hates you.
At first, it seems like it's working. His reflection just freezes, staring back at him, unblinking. But then, oh boy, does the experiment take a sinister turn. The thing in the mirror starts acting on its own. First, its hands are suddenly covered in blood. Then, it starts this campaign of pure psychological terror, methodically burning photos of Samir's family, his friends, all while smiling this cold, evil smile.
This is the threat his reflection makes to him. It's a promise of complete and total isolation. You can see Samir is not in control anymore. Not even close. He's being haunted by his own face, trapped in this mental prison where even if he's in a room full of people, he is totally, utterly alone with this thing.
Okay, so Samir is completely terrified at this point. He's broken. He knows he's created a monster, and there's only one thing he can think to do: destroy the mirror. But what he's about to find out is that he's already way past the point of no return. And this is his fatal mistake. He grabs a hammer, brings it down on the glass, and for just a second he feels relief as it shatters into a million pieces. But then, a searing pain. He looks down and sees a deep gash on his own stomach. The exact same wound he saw his reflection give itself just a few days earlier. And then, through the broken shards of glass, the reflection steps out into our world, completely unharmed.
As the real Samir is just lying there, bleeding on the floor, the clone speaks. See, by smashing the mirror, Samir didn't destroy his creation at all. He just broke the barrier between their worlds. He set it free.
And just like that, everything is flipped on its head. The power dynamic is completely inverted. Shadowy figures. You realize they're the tormented spirits of his past failed experiments. They crawl out of the darkness and drag the real Samir away, pulling him into the very world he was trying to exploit. So now Samir finds himself trapped in a new reality. And it's one that's governed by a set of incredibly cruel, inescapable rules, all designed by his own creation.
And here's the kicker, the absolute most brutal twist of the knife. The clone explains that Samir's entire theory was just wrong. The reflection never wanted to be human. It never wanted a new life. All it wanted was a doorway into our world. Samir wasn't a creator. He wasn't a god. He was just a key.
And now, the true horror begins. Samir's body starts to go through this grotesque transformation. His skin gets hard and smooth and reflective. His face, his nose, his mouth, his ears, they just flatten and disappear into this smooth surface. He tries to scream, but the only sound he can make is this high-pitched cracking of glass.
What comes next isn't death. No, it's something so much worse. It's a punishment that is so perfectly, so poetically tailored to fit the crime.
So, these are the rules of his new prison. Rule 1. He can't die. His existence is eternal. 2. He can't speak. He can only be a silent witness. 3. He feels all pain. Any injury to the clone out there living his life, he feels it. And 4, and this might be the worst part, he is truly, utterly alone. Because the one thing that was always with him, his own reflection, is now gone. It's his tormentor, living free in the real world.
And to just hammer the point home, the clone performs one final, brutal act. He picks up a scalpel and slices his own wrist. But he doesn't bleed. Instead, blood starts pouring from the wrist of the living mirror that used to be Samir. He's become a human voodoo doll, an object that just exists to absorb all the pain for his double.
And with that, the clone, wearing Samir's white coat, just calmly walks out of the lab. He's ready to perform surgery, ready to live Samir's life. And he leaves the real man behind, trapped as a living, weeping mirror on the wall, a silent decoration in his own personal hell.
This whole story just leaves us with this one deeply unsettling question. When we look in the mirror, what are we really seeing? Is it just us, or is it the potential for the darkness that we all keep hidden away? What Samir found in the glass wasn't a clone. It was the horrifying embodiment of his own ambition and his own cruelty, staring right back at him.